Imagine walking into a room, meeting someone for the first time, and in just a few minutes you've established a genuine connection, built trust, and opened the door to endless possibilities. That's the power of persuasion. In the Art of Persuasion audiobook, you'll learn how to master this skill, transforming every conversation into an opportunity for success. Whether you're at work, in a personal relationship, or simply trying to get someone on your side, the ability to influence and persuade others is a game changer. This audiobook will teach you the strategies and psychological principles behind successful persuasion, techniques that allow you to engage others, earn their trust, and ultimately get them to act your way. The benefits of mastering persuasion are vast. Not only does it improve your ability to lead, negotiate, and communicate effectively, but it also helps you become a more empathetic and influential person in your social and professional life. From making better business deals to creating meaningful connections, the art of persuasion is a tool that everyone can use to reach their goals. Introducing The Art of Persuasion, the audiobook that will help you unlock the secrets to influence, success, and meaningful relationships. Chapter 1. The Psychological Principles Behind Persuasion and Influence. Understanding human behavior and decision-making is fundamental to the art of persuasion. At the core of human action is the way people make choices, and these choices are influenced by a combination of psychological, emotional, and social factors. To persuade effectively, it's crucial to understand the underlying forces that drive these decisions, so you can tailor your approach to resonate with the needs, desires, and biases of the individuals or groups you are trying to influence. Human behavior is complex and often driven by unconscious processes. While people may believe they are making decisions based purely on rational thought, emotions, past experiences, and cognitive biases play a much larger role than we often realize. One of the key drivers of human behavior is motivation, which can be intrinsic or extrinsic. Intrinsic motivation arises from internal factors, such as personal values or the joy of accomplishing something for its own sake, while extrinsic motivation comes from external factors like rewards or social approval. Understanding these motivations allows you to frame your persuasive arguments in a way that appeals to what your audience cares about most, whether it's internal satisfaction or external rewards. Cognitive biases are also a significant force in shaping decision-making. These biases are mental shortcuts that people use to make quick judgments, but they often lead to systematic errors in thinking. For example, the confirmation bias leads individuals to seek out information that confirms their pre-existing beliefs, while ignoring contradictory evidence. Similarly, anchoring bias causes people to rely too heavily on the first piece of information they encounter, even when it may not be the most relevant. These biases influence how people process information and make decisions, often in ways that are not consciously recognized. Being aware of these biases helps in crafting persuasive messages that counteract or align with these tendencies, increasing the likelihood of persuading someone to take a particular action or adopt a specific belief. Social influence is another key factor in human behavior. People are highly influenced by the actions and opinions of others, whether it's the desire to conform to social norms, follow a leader, or gain approval from peers. This is why social proof is such a powerful persuasive tool. People are more likely to make decisions that align with what they perceive as the behavior of the majority, or based on what others they respect have done. Understanding the power of social influence means recognizing the value of testimonials, group dynamics, and the persuasive impact of seeing others take the desired action. Emotion also plays a pivotal role in decision-making. While people like to think of themselves as logical and objective, emotions often drive decisions more than rational thought. The emotional appeal of an argument can strongly influence behavior, as emotions have the power to override logical reasoning. Fear, happiness, anger, and excitement are all emotions that can compel people to act in ways they might not have otherwise. For instance, fear of missing out, FOMO, can drive someone to make an impulsive purchase, or the promise of happiness and fulfillment can motivate someone to take action toward a goal. A persuasive message that taps into these emotions can be far more effective than one that is purely factual or logical. Heuristics, or mental shortcuts, also guide decision-making. These rules of thumb allow people to make quick decisions without needing to process all available information. For example, if someone is deciding whether to buy a product, they might rely on the scarcity heuristic, assuming that if an item is in limited supply, it must be valuable. Similarly, the authority heuristic suggests that people are more likely to trust a decision or action if it is endorsed by an authority figure or expert. Understanding these heuristics enables you to frame your persuasive appeals in ways that align with these shortcuts, such as emphasizing scarcity, expert opinions, or simple, easy-to-digest information that helps guide the decision-making process. People are also influenced by their past experiences. Decisions are often shaped by how similar situations have unfolded in the past. If someone had a positive experience with a particular brand or product, they are more likely to make similar decisions in the future. This is why brand loyalty is so powerful. Past experiences create mental associations that influence future behavior. In persuasion, it's important to either align your message with these existing experiences or reframe them to encourage new perspectives. Showing how a past experience can translate into future benefits or how it can be improved upon can sway a person's decision-making process. Understanding human behavior also involves recognizing the role of cognitive load in decision-making. When people are faced with too much information or too many choices, it can overwhelm them and lead to poor decisions or even decision paralysis. This is why simplifying the decision-making process is often crucial in persuasion. Reducing cognitive load means narrowing down options, providing clear and concise information, and guiding individuals toward the most beneficial choice. The more complex the decision, the greater the chance of a person defaulting to their biases or opting out of making a decision altogether. Simplifying the process and removing unnecessary steps helps steer individuals toward the desired outcome. At the core of all decision-making is the desire for control and autonomy. People often resist being told what to do because they feel it threatens their sense of personal control. Persuasion, therefore, is most effective when it doesn't come across as coercive or manipulative, but rather when it makes the individual feel that they are in control of their choices. By providing options, offering guidance, and empowering people to make decisions, you create a sense of autonomy that leads to more positive responses. This is why providing information in a way that allows individuals to feel empowered rather than pressured, is often more persuasive. Understanding human behavior and decision-making is essential for effective persuasion. By recognizing the various psychological factors that influence decisions, including motivation, cognitive biases, social influence, emotions, past experiences, heuristics, cognitive load, and the need for autonomy, you can tailor your approach to better align with the decision-making processes of others. By addressing these factors thoughtfully and strategically, you increase the likelihood of guiding others to make the decisions you desire, while also respecting their individuality and promoting a sense of control. This understanding is the foundation for building trust, fostering relationships, and ultimately persuading others in ways that are both ethical and impactful. The role of cognitive biases in persuasion. Cognitive biases play a significant role in the process of persuasion, as they shape the way individuals interpret information and make decisions. These biases are mental shortcuts that our brains use to simplify complex information, but they often lead to systematic errors in judgment and decision-making. Understanding how cognitive biases influence persuasion allows you to craft more effective arguments and strategies by aligning your message with the way people naturally think. While these biases can sometimes lead to irrational or flawed decisions, they also present opportunities for persuasive leaders to guide others in a way that resonates with their cognitive tendencies. One of the most common cognitive biases in persuasion is the confirmation bias. This bias occurs when individuals tend to seek out, interpret, and favor information that confirms their pre-existing beliefs, while ignoring or dismissing information that contradicts those beliefs. In the context of persuasion, this means that people are more likely to be persuaded by messages that align with their current views or reinforce their existing opinions. As a result, persuasive arguments that acknowledge and validate a person's existing beliefs can be more successful. Instead of directly challenging someone's beliefs, you can gently introduce new information that supports and expands their current understanding. By framing your message in a way that confirms what they already know, you increase the likelihood of influencing their decision. Another powerful cognitive bias is the anchoring bias, which refers to the tendency for people to rely heavily on the first piece of information they receive when making decisions. Once an individual is exposed to an initial piece of data, that information becomes the reference point, or anchor, from which all future decisions are made. In persuasive contexts, the anchoring bias can be used strategically by presenting a favorable piece of information early on to set the tone for subsequent arguments. For example, when negotiating a price or presenting an offer, starting with a higher figure can make the actual price seem more reasonable by comparison. The anchoring effect also works in situations where a leader presents a compelling initial argument or a strong position, making it easier to guide individuals toward a conclusion that aligns with their interests. The availability bias is another cognitive bias that impacts decision-making and persuasion. This bias occurs when individuals rely on immediate examples that come to mind when evaluating a situation or making a judgment. People are more likely to make decisions based on information that is readily available or recently encountered, even if it is not the most relevant or representative. For instance, if a person has recently heard about a particular issue in the news, they may weigh that information more heavily in their decision-making, even if it's not the most accurate or important factor. To leverage the availability bias in persuasion, you can make sure that the information you want to emphasize is easily accessible and top of mind for the audience. By providing compelling, easily digestible examples or stories, you increase the chances that your message will be remembered and acted upon. Social proof is another cognitive bias that plays a critical role in persuasion. This bias refers to the tendency for people to look to others for guidance in uncertain situations, assuming that the actions or beliefs of the majority are correct. This bias is especially potent in social contexts, where individuals are more likely to follow the behavior of others in order to fit in or conform to group norms. Social proof can be a powerful tool for persuasion, as individuals are more likely to be persuaded by messages that demonstrate that others, especially people they respect or admire, are already on board with a particular idea or action. Testimonials, reviews, case studies, or endorsements from trusted figures can significantly increase the persuasive power of your message, as people tend to follow the crowd when making decisions. Highlighting how others have benefited from a product, service, or idea creates a sense of validation, making it more likely that others will take similar action. The scarcity bias is another cognitive tendency that can be harnessed to increase persuasion. This bias is based on the fear of missing out. FOMO. People tend to place higher value on things that are perceived as scarce or limited in availability. The scarcity bias drives people to act quickly or make decisions out of fear that they might lose an opportunity. This can be particularly effective in marketing or sales, where creating urgency around a product or service can spur individuals to take action. Whether it's a limited-time offer, a last-chance promotion, or the announcement of limited availability, leveraging scarcity can be an effective way to motivate people to act now rather than later. Another cognitive bias that impacts persuasion is the halo effect, where the perception of one positive trait leads to the perception of other positive traits. For example, if a person sees someone as trustworthy or likable, they are more likely to attribute other positive qualities to them, such as competence or intelligence. In persuasion, this means that if you can establish a positive initial impression, whether through competence, likability, or charisma, you can significantly influence how your audience perceives other aspects of your argument or offer. The halo effect can be used to increase credibility, as people who already trust or like you are more likely to be persuaded by your ideas or recommendations. The authority bias also plays a significant role in persuasion. This bias occurs when people are more likely to comply with requests or follow the advice of someone they perceive as an authority figure. This could be a person with expertise, credentials, or experience in a particular area. The authority bias suggests that individuals tend to trust and follow people who appear knowledgeable or powerful, even in situations where they may not fully understand the content. In persuasion, establishing authority through credentials, experience, or the endorsement of recognized experts can significantly increase the impact of your message. By positioning yourself or your message as backed by credible authority, you increase the likelihood of gaining compliance and trust from others. Cognitive biases are powerful drivers of human decision-making, and understanding them is key to effective persuasion. By recognizing how biases like confirmation bias, anchoring bias, and availability bias influence the way people think and make decisions, you can tailor your persuasive techniques to align with these mental shortcuts. Whether it's using social proof, scarcity, or authority to strengthen your message, or understanding how to overcome biases that may hinder judgment, leveraging cognitive biases helps ensure that your persuasive efforts resonate with your audience and lead to the desired outcomes. Effective persuasion is not about manipulating people. It's about understanding how they think and aligning your message with their natural decision-making processes. Chapter 2. Effective Strategies to Change Minds and Gain Compliance. Persuasion Techniques that Drive Action. Persuasion techniques that drive action are fundamental to influencing behavior and inspiring change. Whether in leadership, marketing, or everyday interactions, the ability to effectively persuade someone to take action is a powerful skill. While there are numerous strategies that can be used to persuade others, the key to driving action lies in aligning your message with the recipient's motivations, emotions, and cognitive biases. By doing so, you can create a compelling argument that resonates with their needs and desires, leading them to act. One of the most effective techniques in persuasion is appealing to the emotions of the individual. People are driven by emotions, and decisions are often made based on feelings rather than logic. To drive action, it's crucial to tap into the emotions of your audience. Whether it's the desire for success, fear of missing out, or the need for belonging, emotional triggers play a major role in motivating people. For example, a person is more likely to take action if they feel excited, inspired, or fearful of missing an opportunity. Using compelling stories, relatable experiences, and vivid imagery that evokes strong emotions can persuade individuals to act, often faster than if they were presented with facts or logic alone. Another powerful persuasion technique is to create a sense of urgency. People are more likely to take action when they feel that time is limited, or that an opportunity may soon be gone. This tactic plays into the psychological principle of scarcity, which is rooted in the fear of missing out, FOMO. By emphasizing limited availability or a deadline, you encourage people to act quickly, without overthinking or postponing their decision. This could take the form of time-sensitive offers, limited edition products, or a call to action that highlights the importance of immediate participation. When the perception of scarcity is created, individuals often feel compelled to act without delay, driven by the fear that the opportunity won't come again. Social proof is another technique that drives action. Humans are social creatures, and we often look to others when making decisions, especially in uncertain situations. If we see others taking action, or endorsing a particular product, service, or idea, we are more likely to do the same. This is why testimonials, reviews, and recommendations from trusted individuals or groups are so persuasive. By showing that others have already made the decision, you provide validation that the action is a safe, wise, and beneficial one. Social proof works by reducing the perceived risk of a decision and providing reassurance that taking action is the right thing to do. When people see others experiencing positive outcomes from their actions, they are more likely to follow suit. Another powerful persuasion technique is framing. The way information is presented or framed significantly influences how it is perceived and the decisions that are made as a result. A simple change in how something is worded can have a profound effect on the action that someone takes. For instance, framing a choice in a positive light, emphasizing the benefits and rewards of taking action, can make it more appealing. On the other hand, framing the consequences of not taking action in a negative way can create urgency and push people to act. The framing effect taps into the cognitive biases that affect how people interpret information and make decisions, guiding them toward a specific course of action. Reciprocity is another technique that can drive action. This principle is based on the idea that people are more likely to take action or offer something in return when they feel they have received something first. It's the principle of giving to get. By offering value up front, whether it's in the form of helpful advice, a free sample, or a generous gesture, you create a sense of obligation in the recipient. They are then more likely to take the action you desire, whether it's purchasing a product, signing up for a service, or supporting an initiative. Reciprocity fosters goodwill and encourages a sense of fairness, making individuals feel more compelled to return the favor. Clear calls to action are also vital for driving action. People are more likely to take action when they are told exactly what to do. A persuasive message should always include a direct and clear call to action, whether it's a request to buy, sign up, donate, or share. A well-crafted call to action provides the audience with a clear, specific step to take and removes any ambiguity around what is being asked of them. The easier and more straightforward you make it for someone to take action, the more likely they are to do so. Including a sense of urgency in your call to action further motivates people to act immediately, reducing the chances of procrastination or hesitation. Another key persuasion technique is offering a compelling reason to act. People are more likely to take action when they understand the why behind the request. This involves explaining the benefits or value of taking action in a way that resonates with the person's desires, needs, or goals. Whether it's highlighting the personal gains from taking a specific action or showing how it aligns with their values, giving people a meaningful reason to act makes the decision feel more worthwhile. The more tangible and relevant the benefit is to the individual, the more likely they are to be persuaded to take the desired action. Building trust is an essential aspect of driving action. People are far more likely to take action when they trust the person making the request or the source of the message. Trust can be built through consistency, transparency, and demonstrating credibility. When people feel they can trust you, they are more likely to follow through with the action you are encouraging. This is why building a rapport, establishing credibility, and being transparent about your intentions are key components of effective persuasion. If your audience believes in your integrity and that your motives are genuine, they will be more inclined to take action, knowing it's in their best interest. Persuasion techniques that drive action are grounded in understanding human psychology and motivation. By appealing to emotions, creating urgency, using social proof, framing information strategically, leveraging reciprocity, providing clear calls to action, offering compelling reasons to act, and building trust, you can effectively influence others to take the desired steps. These techniques, when applied thoughtfully, can make your persuasive efforts more impactful and ensure that your message resonates with those you wish to influence. Leveraging authority and social proof for influence. Leveraging authority and social proof for influence is a powerful strategy in persuasion that taps into deeply rooted psychological principles. Humans are social creatures, and we often look to others, especially those with perceived expertise or influence, when making decisions. By understanding how authority and social proof function in decision-making, you can craft persuasive messages and strategies that align with these innate tendencies, making it easier to gain buy-in and inspire action from your audience. Authority plays a key role in shaping how people make decisions. We are more likely to follow the advice or instructions of someone we perceive as an expert or figure of authority. This is rooted in the principle of authority bias, a cognitive shortcut where people trust and listen to individuals with recognized expertise or credentials. When a person or organization demonstrates expertise or holds a position of power, others tend to follow their lead without critically questioning their advice. For example, a doctor's recommendation about health or a respected entrepreneur's insights on business can significantly influence decisions, even if the advice is not entirely based on objective analysis. In persuasion, establishing authority can be done in a variety of ways. One of the most effective methods is by showcasing credentials or expertise. A leader who has years of experience in a field or a professional with established qualifications automatically garners respect and trust. This can be further bolstered by demonstrating knowledge, making well-informed statements, or providing factual evidence to support your claims. The mere presence of authority makes your message more compelling because it automatically lends credibility to your ideas. This is why many successful brands and influencers rely on authority figures, such as industry experts or celebrities, to endorse their products or services, as their endorsement creates a perception of trustworthiness and reliability. However, authority is not solely about credentials or position. It also involves how a person demonstrates competence in real time. A leader who consistently delivers results, makes informed decisions, and behaves with confidence becomes a recognized authority through their actions, not just their title. This type of earned authority is incredibly persuasive because it's based on demonstrated competence, rather than simply relying on a title. For example, a manager who continually solves problems effectively and makes strategic decisions that benefit the team will build a reputation as an authority figure, regardless of their official rank or position. Social proof is another potent tool for influence, based on the human tendency to look to others for guidance, especially in uncertain or unfamiliar situations. The principle behind social proof is rooted in the idea that if others are doing something or believe something, it is more likely to be the right thing to do. This phenomenon can be seen in everything from consumer behavior, e.g., checking reviews before purchasing a product, to social behaviors, e.g., joining a popular movement or trend because others are participating. People are often uncomfortable with making decisions on their own, especially when they feel unsure or lack expertise, so they rely on the actions and opinions of others to guide their choices. One of the most common ways social proof is used in persuasion is through testimonials and reviews. When people see that others have had positive experiences with a product, service, or idea, they are more likely to be persuaded to follow suit. The more testimonials or positive feedback a product or service receives, the more credible it becomes in the eyes of potential customers or followers. This effect is heightened when the testimonials come from individuals or organizations that the audience respects or relates to, such as peers, industry leaders, or influencers. Seeing that others have successfully adopted a particular idea or product lowers the perceived risk and reinforces the idea that this choice is the right one. Social proof also operates through group dynamics. In any given situation, people tend to follow the crowd, particularly when they are unsure of what action to take. This is why people often make decisions based on what others are doing around them, whether it's joining a line at a popular restaurant or participating in a trending challenge. In the context of persuasion, this can be used strategically by showing that others have already taken the desired action. For example, a brand might showcase the number of people who have already bought a product, or a leader might emphasize how many team members are already on board with a particular project. When people see that many others have made a particular choice, they are more likely to follow the crowd, believing that the group's decision must be the right one. The concept of bandwagon effect also plays a role in leveraging social proof for influence. This bias occurs when people adopt certain behaviors or beliefs because they perceive them to be popular or widely accepted. The more visible the bandwagon, e.g., a social media post with hundreds of likes or shares, the more likely people are to jump on and participate. This principle is often used in marketing campaigns that emphasize the widespread popularity of a product or service, suggesting that because so many people use or endorse it, it must be of high quality or worth purchasing. Another effective form of social proof is the use of influencers and authority figures to endorse a message, product, or idea. The endorsement of a respected or admired individual can significantly influence others' behavior. When influential individuals or celebrities endorse a product, they provide a form of social proof that encourages their followers to believe in the product's value. This type of social proof works because people trust the judgment of individuals they admire or respect. They want to be associated with the same qualities or values that the influencer represents, which leads them to take the same actions, such as purchasing the product or adopting the idea. In a leadership context, creating a culture of social proof within a team or organization can be incredibly powerful. When team members see their peers modeling desired behaviors, whether it's adhering to deadlines, collaborating effectively, or maintaining a positive attitude, they are more likely to emulate those behaviors themselves. Social proof in leadership creates an environment where people naturally align with the behaviors and attitudes of those around them, reinforcing the overall goals and values of the team. Leveraging authority and social proof for influence is about aligning your persuasive efforts with the psychological tendencies that drive decision-making. By demonstrating authority, either through credentials or actions, you build trust and credibility that encourages others to follow your lead. Similarly, using social proof, whether through testimonials, visible endorsements, or group dynamics, taps into the natural human tendency to rely on others when making decisions. By combining these two powerful tools, you can enhance your ability to influence others, inspire action, and drive change. These techniques are not just about persuading people to buy products or services. They are essential strategies for effective leadership, organizational success, and creating lasting impact. Chapter 3. How to build rapport and trust in any situation. Establishing genuine connections with others is a fundamental aspect of building trust, fostering collaboration, and creating meaningful relationships. Whether in a personal or professional setting, these connections form the foundation for effective communication, teamwork, and influence. Genuine connections go beyond surface-level interactions and are built on a deep understanding of one another, empathy, and mutual respect. When you genuinely connect with others, it creates an environment where people feel valued, understood, and motivated to engage with you in meaningful ways. The first step in establishing a genuine connection is to practice active listening. This goes beyond simply hearing what the other person is saying. It involves fully engaging with them, understanding their words, emotions, and the underlying context. Active listening requires giving your undivided attention, maintaining eye contact, and refraining from interrupting. It also involves asking follow-up questions that show you're genuinely interested in what the other person has to say. This kind of listening not only fosters trust, but also makes the other person feel heard and respected, which is essential for any meaningful connection. When people feel like they are being listened to, they are more likely to open up and share more openly, creating a stronger bond. Another key element of forming genuine connections is to show empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others, and it's a crucial component of building trust and rapport. When you show empathy, you acknowledge the emotions and experiences of the other person, which makes them feel seen and understood. This doesn't mean you have to agree with everything they say, but it does involve validating their feelings and offering support. For example, if someone shares a challenge or frustration, instead of jumping straight into problem-solving mode, take a moment to acknowledge their feelings and express understanding. This empathetic response can help create a safe space where open communication can flourish. Being authentic is also critical to building genuine connections. People can sense when someone is being insincere or trying to manipulate a conversation or relationship for personal gain. Authenticity requires you to be true to yourself, expressing your thoughts, feelings, and intentions honestly. When you are authentic, others are more likely to trust you because they know you are being transparent and real with them. Authenticity fosters an environment where vulnerability can be shared and deep connections can be made. When you show up as your true self, without pretense or agenda, you invite others to do the same, which strengthens the connection between you. Another important aspect of genuine connection is finding common ground. Shared interests, experiences, or goals create a bond between people and serve as the basis for deeper conversations and interactions. When you find common ground, you bridge the gap between different perspectives and create a sense of unity. This doesn't mean that you have to agree on everything, but recognizing areas where you align helps to foster a sense of camaraderie. Whether it's discussing shared professional goals, hobbies, or personal values, finding something to connect on allows you to build a more meaningful relationship and establish trust more quickly. Additionally, offering genuine appreciation and recognition is key to building strong connections. Everyone wants to feel valued, and expressing appreciation for someone's efforts, ideas, or contributions can go a long way in fostering a deeper connection. A simple thank you or a compliment that acknowledges someone's work or qualities can help them feel seen and respected. This kind of positive reinforcement strengthens the relationship and encourages the person to continue contributing. It also sets a tone of mutual respect and admiration, making it easier for the other person to reciprocate in kind. Being present is another essential aspect of building genuine connections. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to become distracted by technology or multitasking during conversations. However, genuine connections require undivided attention. This means putting away your phone, making eye contact, and focusing solely on the conversation at hand. When you are fully present with someone, it shows that you value them and their time. Being present also allows you to pick up on nonverbal cues, such as body language and tone of voice, which can provide deeper insights into the other person's feelings or thoughts. This attentiveness helps to strengthen the connection and builds trust over time. Vulnerability is an important aspect of forming deeper, more meaningful connections. While it may feel uncomfortable, sharing something personal, whether it's a challenge you faced, a lesson you've learned, or a feeling you've had, can create a powerful bond. Vulnerability fosters empathy and understanding, and it shows that you trust the other person enough to be open. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you invite others to do the same, which deepens the relationship and allows for greater emotional intimacy. Vulnerability also humanizes the connection, showing that you're not just a leader or an authority figure, but a person with real emotions and experiences. Building genuine connections requires patience. Strong relationships are not formed overnight. They take time to develop, and it often requires consistent effort to maintain and nurture those connections. It's essential to show up for people over time, rather than expecting instant results. Even small, everyday gestures, whether it's a quick check-in, remembering a detail from a past conversation, or offering support when needed, can build trust and loyalty over time. Being consistent in your efforts shows that you genuinely care about the relationship, and this consistency will pay off as the connection grows deeper. Maintaining boundaries is important for building and sustaining genuine connections. Healthy boundaries allow you to be close to others while still maintaining a sense of personal space and self-respect. Boundaries help define the limits of a relationship and ensure that both parties feel comfortable and respected. When you communicate your boundaries clearly and respect those of others, it fosters an environment of mutual respect and trust. Without boundaries, relationships can become strained or imbalanced, making it difficult to form a genuine connection. Establishing genuine connections with others requires active listening, empathy, authenticity, finding common ground, and showing appreciation. It involves being present, vulnerable, and consistent while respecting personal boundaries. Genuine connections are built on trust and mutual respect, and they take time to develop. When you focus on these principles, you create relationships that are meaningful, lasting, and impactful. These connections not only improve communication, but also enhance collaboration, foster loyalty, and create a positive, supportive environment in both personal and professional settings. Ultimately, the ability to connect with others in a meaningful way is one of the most powerful tools for creating influence and driving success. Creating a safe and open environment for influence. Creating a safe and open environment for influence is essential for building trust, fostering collaboration, and motivating others to take positive actions. In any setting, whether it's a team, a community, or a personal relationship, the ability to influence others effectively relies on the foundation of a safe space where individuals feel respected, heard, and valued. This kind of environment encourages open communication, promotes psychological safety, and enhances the overall effectiveness of your leadership or influence efforts. The first step in creating a safe environment is to establish trust. Trust is the cornerstone of any meaningful influence. Without it, no amount of persuasion, motivation, or encouragement will be effective. Trust is built through consistent, transparent, and reliable behavior. When people feel they can rely on you to follow through on promises, act with integrity, and keep their best interests in mind, they are much more likely to listen to and be influenced by you. Building trust also involves being authentic and honest, even when the situation is difficult. By being open about your intentions, expressing vulnerability, and admitting when you don't have all the answers, you show others that you are genuine, which encourages them to reciprocate with openness. Another key element in fostering a safe and open environment is creating psychological safety. Psychological safety refers to the feeling that one can express themselves, make mistakes, or share ideas without fear of judgment, ridicule, or punishment. When individuals feel psychologically safe, they are more likely to engage in honest conversations, offer creative solutions, and contribute fully to the team or group. Leaders can create psychological safety by actively encouraging open dialogue, acknowledging and valuing diverse perspectives, and responding to mistakes or disagreements with understanding rather than punishment. When people know they won't be ridiculed or penalized for speaking up, they are more likely to take risks, contribute their ideas, and embrace new challenges, all of which enhance their ability to be influenced and contribute to a common goal. In addition to fostering trust and psychological safety, empathy is essential for creating an environment that supports influence. Empathy involves understanding and acknowledging the emotions, needs, and perspectives of others. When people feel that their emotions and viewpoints are understood and validated, they are more likely to feel comfortable engaging with you and are more receptive to your influence. Practicing empathy means actively listening, asking thoughtful questions, and showing compassion. It's about connecting with others on an emotional level, which builds rapport and strengthens the relationship. Empathy also involves being attuned to nonverbal cues, such as body language and tone of voice, which helps you gauge how others are feeling and respond appropriately. When individuals feel emotionally supported, they are more likely to open up, share their thoughts, and be influenced by your perspective. Encouraging transparency and open communication is another critical factor in creating a safe and open environment. Clear, honest, and open communication fosters a culture of trust and mutual respect. When people feel that they can communicate openly without fear of backlash or misunderstanding, they are more likely to engage in meaningful discussions and contribute to the group's goals. As a leader or influencer, it's important to lead by example by being transparent about your own thoughts, expectations, and actions. This transparency helps to demystify decision-making processes and ensures that everyone feels informed and included. Additionally, encourage others to share their thoughts and feedback by creating spaces for open dialogue, whether through regular meetings, one-on-one conversations, or informal discussions. When individuals feel that their opinions matter and are heard, they are more likely to trust you and be influenced by your ideas. Respecting individual differences is also key to creating an open and safe environment. People come from diverse backgrounds, with unique perspectives, beliefs, and values. Recognizing and respecting these differences allows for more inclusive and collaborative interactions. When you make an effort to understand and appreciate the diverse experiences and viewpoints of others, it fosters an environment of acceptance and understanding. This inclusivity strengthens relationships and makes individuals feel valued, which, in turn, increases their willingness to listen to and be influenced by you. Acknowledging that everyone has something valuable to contribute enhances the group's ability to innovate, problem solve, and achieve shared goals. Creating a safe and open environment also involves leading with humility. Humility means recognizing that you do not have all the answers, and that others have valuable insights and ideas. Leaders who approach their teams with humility foster an environment where everyone feels that their contributions are valuable and respected. Humility also involves being willing to admit when you're wrong or when you've made a mistake. This openness encourages others to do the same, creating a culture of learning and growth. When leaders lead with humility, they demonstrate that influence is not about power or control, but about collaboration, mutual respect, and shared goals. Another important aspect of creating a safe environment is setting clear expectations and boundaries. People feel more comfortable and secure when they know what is expected of them and the limits within which they are operating. Clear expectations help reduce uncertainty, improve performance, and create a sense of structure. Boundaries, on the other hand, define the limits of acceptable behavior and ensure that individuals feel respected and safe in their interactions. By establishing boundaries that promote respect, fairness, and accountability, you create an environment where people feel secure enough to contribute, share ideas, and collaborate without fear of exploitation or misunderstanding. Celebrating success and learning from failure plays a critical role in creating a safe and open environment for influence. Recognizing and celebrating achievements, both big and small, fosters a sense of accomplishment and motivation. When people are recognized for their contributions, they feel valued and appreciated, which encourages continued engagement and receptiveness to influence. On the other hand, when things don't go as planned, it's important to frame failure as a learning opportunity rather than a setback. Encouraging a mindset where mistakes are seen as part of the growth process helps reduce fear of failure and encourages experimentation and innovation. When individuals feel that failure is not something to be feared, but an opportunity to learn and grow, they are more likely to take risks and be open to new ideas, increasing the likelihood of being influenced. Creating a safe and open environment for influence is about building trust, practicing empathy, encouraging transparency, respecting differences, leading with humility, and setting clear expectations. This environment fosters open communication, psychological safety, and mutual respect, which makes people more receptive to influence. When individuals feel heard, valued, and emotionally supported, they are more likely to engage in meaningful collaboration and take positive actions. By intentionally creating such an environment, you lay the groundwork for long-lasting relationships, effective leadership, and greater collective success. Chapter 4. Powerful Language Techniques that Persuade Without Force. The art of framing is a powerful technique used to shape how people perceive a situation, idea, or piece of information. It revolves around the idea that the way information is presented or framed can significantly influence how others interpret it and, ultimately, how they respond or make decisions. This concept is grounded in the understanding that human perception is not objective. People's views are often influenced by the language, context, and perspective provided to them. By carefully selecting the words, metaphors, and context used to convey a message, you can steer how others think about that message and shape their attitudes and behaviors accordingly. Framing works because the human mind tends to rely on context to make sense of the world. It's not just about the information itself, but how that information is placed in a certain context or given a particular emphasis. For example, describing a glass of water as half full versus half empty evokes different emotional responses, even though both statements are technically describing the same reality. The first framing, half full, emphasizes potential and positivity, while the second, half empty, focuses on lack or deficiency. This simple change in wording can influence whether someone feels optimistic or pessimistic about a situation, despite the objective facts remaining the same. The power of framing lies in its ability to highlight certain aspects of a situation while minimizing others, guiding how others perceive and respond to that information. One of the key principles behind framing is the selective emphasis of certain features or aspects of information. In a persuasive context, you can frame an idea or message by highlighting the positive outcomes of a decision or action, while downplaying the negative consequences. For instance, if you're trying to persuade someone to adopt a new habit, you might frame the benefits in terms of immediate positive results, such as increased energy or improved mood, while downplaying potential challenges, like the initial discomfort or effort required. By focusing on the positive aspects and minimizing the potential difficulties, you are guiding the listener to see the new habit as an opportunity rather than a burden. Conversely, framing can also be used to emphasize the negative aspects of a situation or choice to discourage certain behaviors. This technique is often seen in marketing or political campaigns. For example, in a public health campaign, the framing of smoking might focus on the negative consequences, such as the risks of lung cancer or heart disease, rather than any perceived benefits. By focusing attention on the severe consequences, you can discourage individuals from making certain choices. In this case, framing works by appealing to people's fear of negative outcomes, compelling them to avoid the behavior being targeted. Language choice plays a significant role in framing. The words we use can carry emotional weight and have psychological implications. Terms that evoke strong emotions, whether positive or negative, can drastically change how someone responds to a message. For example, the term sustainable is often used to frame environmental or business practices in a positive light, implying long-term responsibility and future well-being. On the other hand, terms like environmentally harmful or toxic are used to frame certain behaviors or industries negatively. Even simple words like investment versus expenditure can alter how people perceive a decision. The former tends to invoke a sense of growth and future returns, while the latter can have a more limiting, negative connotation, often associated with loss or waste. Framing also influences how we perceive risks and rewards. In decision-making contexts, people tend to be risk-averse when it comes to potential losses, but they are more willing to take risks when framed as potential gains. This is known as the loss aversion principle, a concept within behavioral economics. For example, if you frame a decision by saying, "If you don't act now, you will lose out on this opportunity," it triggers fear of loss, making the decision seem more urgent. On the other hand, framing a decision as, "By acting now, you can gain valuable benefits," highlights potential rewards and makes the decision seem more appealing. The same situation or decision can be framed in a way that either emphasizes what is at stake or what can be gained, and the emotional response to each framing is significantly different. Another powerful aspect of framing is how it can shape identity and values. People often make decisions based on how a situation or action aligns with their self-image or core beliefs. Framing can be used to connect an idea or behavior with someone's identity, creating a stronger, more personal motivation to act. For example, a leader may frame a call to action by appealing to the values of the group. This initiative aligns with our shared values of sustainability and community. By linking the decision to the team's identity, the leader appeals to their sense of belonging and their commitment to the group's goals. This type of framing makes the behavior feel less like an obligation and more like a natural extension of who they are. In the same way, framing can influence perceptions of fairness and justice. In conflict situations, the way a leader frames an issue can determine whether people feel that the outcome is just or unfair. By carefully presenting the facts, acknowledging different perspectives, and framing the resolution as being equitable and aligned with core values, leaders can create a sense of fairness and legitimacy. If, on the other hand, the situation is framed in a way that highlights perceived inequalities or biases, it can lead to resentment and resistance. How a situation is framed can shape perceptions of whether something is right or wrong, thus influencing how people will respond to it. The art of framing is also about managing expectations. When you are clear about the potential challenges or drawbacks of a decision, but frame them in a way that feels manageable or temporary, you prepare your audience to face obstacles with a positive mindset. This technique is particularly effective in leadership and management, where team members need to be motivated to take on challenges without being deterred by the possibility of failure or difficulty. By framing obstacles as opportunities for growth and development, you encourage resilience and optimism, even in the face of adversity. The art of framing is a powerful technique in persuasion because it allows you to shape how others perceive and respond to situations, ideas, and decisions. By carefully choosing your words, emphasizing certain aspects, and presenting information in a way that aligns with the needs, desires, and cognitive biases of your audience, you can influence their thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. Whether you're trying to motivate action, change opinions, or guide decision-making, mastering the art of framing allows you to steer perceptions, manage reactions, and ultimately achieve the desired outcomes. Using persuasive language to encourage positive responses. Using persuasive language to encourage positive responses is an essential skill in many aspects of life. Whether in leadership, marketing, negotiations, or personal relationships. The language you choose can significantly impact how your message is received, how people feel about the options you present, and ultimately, how they respond to your requests or ideas. Persuasive language works by appealing to emotions, providing clarity, creating urgency, and building trust. By choosing words thoughtfully, you can influence attitudes, drive action, and foster positive, cooperative relationships. One of the most fundamental ways that language influences responses is through framing. The way you present information can make a vast difference in how it is perceived. For example, describing an opportunity as a limited-time offer instead of simply saying an offer can trigger a sense of urgency and scarcity, prompting people to act quickly. Similarly, if you present a challenge or a task by emphasizing its benefits rather than its potential difficulty, you can make it seem more appealing. Words that emphasize potential rewards, growth, or positive outcomes are more likely to inspire action. For instance, saying, "This strategy will help you achieve your goals faster," is far more persuasive than focusing on potential obstacles, even if they exist. Language that paints a picture of success, improvement, or empowerment can motivate people to take the desired actions. Another way persuasive language works is through emotional appeal. People often make decisions based on emotions rather than logic, so using words that connect with emotions can be a powerful tool for persuasion. Positive emotional language that emphasizes feelings of happiness, security, hope, or confidence can significantly boost someone's willingness to engage with your message. For instance, words like exciting, life-changing, or rewarding evoke positive emotions, making your offer more compelling. Similarly, when trying to inspire someone to take action or make a decision, using phrases that trigger empathy or a sense of community can increase the chances of a positive response. For example, instead of saying, "This will improve your productivity," you might say, "This will help you achieve more in less time and feel more accomplished at the end of each day." This not only connects with a desire for efficiency, but also taps into feelings of pride and accomplishment. Persuasive language also involves building trust by using language that is sincere, clear, and respectful. People are more likely to respond positively to messages that make them feel respected and valued. Being honest and transparent in your communication fosters credibility, which in turn increases the likelihood of a positive response. For instance, rather than making exaggerated claims, a more persuasive approach is to acknowledge both the strengths and limitations of your proposal, showing that you understand the complexities involved. When people feel they are being treated with respect and honesty, they are more likely to engage with the ideas you are presenting. Using language that expresses empathy for the other person's situation and acknowledging their needs or concerns shows that you have their best interests at heart, which builds rapport and increases trust. Additionally, clarity and simplicity are essential in persuasive language. People are more likely to act on a message when it is easy to understand and straightforward. Overly complex language or jargon can create confusion or make people feel overwhelmed, which often leads to procrastination or avoidance. Instead, opt for clear, concise language that communicates your message effectively without ambiguity. For example, instead of saying, "This is an extraordinary and potentially transformative tool that can significantly enhance your efficiency by optimizing your workflow and boosting overall productivity," you could say, "This tool helps you get more done in less time." Clear and simple language makes the message more accessible, reducing any barriers to action. Another key element of persuasive language is empowering the listener. People are more likely to engage with and respond positively to messages that make them feel capable and in control of their decisions. Rather than telling someone what they must do, persuasive language often works by suggesting possibilities and framing choices in a way that encourages agency. For example, instead of saying, "You need to make this decision right now," you could say, "Take your time and consider how this can work for you." This language helps the person feel empowered to make the decision, rather than feeling pressured. It reduces resistance and fosters a sense of autonomy, which can lead to more positive and willing responses. One of the more subtle but powerful ways to use persuasive language is through positive reinforcement. This involves using words that reinforce the desired behavior or mindset. For instance, when someone takes a positive action or makes progress, acknowledging their efforts with positive language can strengthen their commitment and encourage future actions. For example, instead of simply saying, "Great job," You could say, "Your effort today shows how dedicated you are to improving, and it's making a real difference." This reinforces the behavior and encourages the person to continue on that path. Positive reinforcement not only motivates but also builds confidence, making individuals more open to responding favorably to future requests. Persuasive language also involves creating a sense of belonging or connection. People are often motivated by a desire to be part of something larger than themselves, whether it's a team, a movement, or a cause. Using inclusive language that appeals to the idea of shared goals or mutual benefit can persuade individuals to take action. For example, rather than saying, "You should sign up for this program," try framing it as, "Join others who are working toward the same goal and make a positive impact together." This taps into a person's social nature and desire to belong, which can be a powerful motivator for action. Using calls to action that are specific, direct, and aligned with the person's needs and desires helps to push them from passive thinking into active decision-making. Persuasive language should clearly communicate what action you want the person to take, using phrases like, "Take the first step today," or "Start now and see immediate results." A clear and compelling call to action ensures that the listener knows exactly what to do next and feels motivated to take that step. Using persuasive language to encourage positive responses is about more than just selecting the right words. It involves understanding the emotional, cognitive, and psychological factors that influence how people interpret and respond to messages. By framing your message in a way that appeals to emotions, building trust through transparency and empathy, keeping communication clear and simple, empowering others, reinforcing positive behavior, and creating a sense of connection, you can significantly increase your ability to persuade and inspire action. Ultimately, effective persuasive language empowers individuals, making them feel understood, respected, and motivated to act in ways that align with your message. Chapter 5. The Importance of Emotional Intelligence in Persuasion. Understanding and responding to emotional cues is a critical aspect of effective communication and relationship building. Emotional cues, whether verbal or nonverbal, provide valuable insight into how a person is feeling, what they might need, and how they are interpreting the situation. By becoming attuned to these emotional signals, you can improve your ability to connect with others, navigate difficult conversations, and foster positive outcomes in both personal and professional interactions. When engaging with others, it's important to recognize that emotions are not always openly expressed through words. Often, people communicate their feelings through body language, facial expressions, tone of voice, and even silence. For example, crossed arms or a furrowed brow may indicate discomfort, defensiveness, or anger, while a relaxed posture and a smile can signal openness and engagement. Paying close attention to these nonverbal cues allows you to gain a deeper understanding of the emotional undercurrent of a conversation. This awareness helps you tailor your response appropriately, ensuring that you meet the other person where they are emotionally and provide the support or direction they need. Listening actively is one of the most effective ways to understand emotional cues. Active listening involves more than just hearing the words someone is saying. It requires engaging with their message, observing their body language, and paying attention to their tone. This holistic approach enables you to fully grasp the emotional content behind their words. When someone expresses frustration, for instance, their words might be filled with complaints, but their tone may be sharp and their body language may be tense. By picking up on these subtle emotional cues, you can better understand the root cause of their frustration, which allows you to address their concerns more effectively. Moreover, responding empathetically to emotional cues is a powerful way to create connection and trust. When someone is upset or stressed, acknowledging their emotions rather than dismissing them helps to validate their experience. For instance, if someone shares a problem with you, instead of jumping straight into problem-solving mode, it's important to first show that you understand how they feel. This could be as simple as saying, "I can see how frustrating that must be," or "It sounds like you've been going through a tough time." These empathetic responses create a space where the person feels heard and understood, which can de-escalate tensions and foster a more productive and collaborative conversation. It's also important to respond to emotional cues with appropriate actions, not just words. For instance, if someone seems distressed, simply offering a listening ear may not be enough. You might also need to adjust your behavior to help the person feel more comfortable. Offering a comforting gesture, like a reassuring hand on the shoulder, or adjusting the tone of your voice to a calmer, more soothing level, can communicate your support in a way that words alone cannot. Physical cues like maintaining eye contact or nodding can also help reinforce that you are present and engaged with what the person is expressing emotionally. Another key aspect of understanding and responding to emotional cues is recognizing when someone's emotions might be disconnected from the immediate situation. Sometimes, the emotions a person displays in a conversation are not directly related to the topic at hand, but are instead a reflection of something deeper. For example, someone who is visibly upset during a discussion about work might be experiencing anxiety or frustration related to personal issues that are spilling over into the conversation. By being attuned to these emotional signals, you can choose to address the underlying emotional state, which may require you to offer empathy or support, rather than focusing solely on the immediate topic. Recognizing these emotional cues and acknowledging them with care helps build trust and shows that you understand the complexity of the person's experience. Emotional self-regulation also plays a significant role in how well you can respond to emotional cues. When someone is expressing strong emotions, whether positive or negative, it's easy to be influenced by those emotions and react impulsively. However, to respond effectively, it's important to regulate your own emotions and maintain composure. By staying calm and composed, you create a stable presence that can help the other person process their emotions more effectively. For example, if someone is angry and expressing frustration, your calm demeanor can help de-escalate the situation, making it easier to guide the conversation toward a resolution. Self-regulation ensures that your emotional state doesn't cloud your judgment or response, allowing you to act thoughtfully and strategically. An often overlooked but powerful emotional cue to respond to is silence. While silence may seem neutral, it often carries significant emotional weight. When someone goes quiet, it can signal discomfort, sadness, confusion, or contemplation. In such cases, it's important to create space for them to process their emotions and provide support. Sometimes, simply acknowledging the silence with a soft prompt like, "I can tell you might need a moment," or "It's okay if you're not ready to talk right now," can help the person feel safe enough to open up when they're ready. Silence can also indicate that someone feels overwhelmed and needs time to gather their thoughts, so allowing for pauses in conversation can be a valuable tool for responding to emotional cues. Cultural sensitivity plays a role in how you interpret and respond to emotional cues. Different cultures express and interpret emotions in varying ways, so it's important to approach emotional cues with awareness and openness. For example, in some cultures, direct emotional expression might be seen as disrespectful or inappropriate, while in others, it's a necessary part of communication. Understanding these cultural nuances ensures that your responses to emotional cues are not misinterpreted, and that you respect the emotional boundaries of others. Understanding and responding to emotional cues is an essential skill for building strong, meaningful relationships, whether in personal or professional settings. By paying attention to nonverbal signals, practicing active listening, showing empathy, and adjusting your behavior accordingly, you can create a safe and supportive environment where others feel understood and valued. This not only fosters trust and cooperation, but also enhances your ability to influence and guide others effectively. When you respond to emotional cues with awareness, respect, and care, you strengthen the connection with those around you and create more positive, productive interactions. Building empathy to strengthen your persuasive impact. Building empathy to strengthen your persuasive impact is an essential skill for anyone looking to influence and connect with others. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person, and it plays a significant role in persuasion because it helps you connect on an emotional level, demonstrate genuine concern, and offer solutions that resonate with others' needs, desires, and experiences. When you approach persuasion with empathy, you create an atmosphere of trust and understanding, which significantly increases your ability to influence people in a positive and constructive way. At the core of empathy is active listening, which involves more than just hearing the words someone speaks. It requires paying full attention to the speaker, understanding their message, and then responding in a way that shows you are emotionally attuned to their thoughts and feelings. Active listening helps you grasp not only what is being said, but also the emotions and intentions behind the words. This deeper understanding allows you to tailor your responses in ways that are more likely to resonate with the person and to address their emotional and psychological needs. When people feel that they are truly heard and understood, they are more likely to trust you and be open to your influence. Validating emotions is another key component of empathy that strengthens your persuasive impact. Validation is the act of acknowledging someone's feelings without judgment or dismissal. When you validate someone's emotions, you communicate that their feelings are legitimate and worthy of attention. For instance, if someone is expressing frustration, instead of brushing it off or jumping into problem-solving mode, acknowledging their emotions with phrases like, "I understand how frustrating this must be," or "I can see why you feel that way," can help the person feel heard. When people feel validated, they are more likely to be receptive to suggestions or guidance, as they know that their emotions are respected and understood. Empathy also involves putting yourself in someone else's shoes and considering the situation from their perspective. This shift in perspective allows you to understand their motivations, fears, desires, and obstacles. When you demonstrate an understanding of their experience, you are better positioned to communicate in a way that directly addresses their concerns. For example, when persuading a colleague to adopt a new process or approach, understanding their potential hesitations or challenges, whether it's fear of change, lack of confidence, or concern about extra work, enables you to frame your persuasive argument in a way that alleviates those concerns. By anticipating their objections and responding to them with empathy, you can make your persuasive approach more appealing and less confrontational. Emotional connection plays a major role in persuasion, and empathy fosters this connection by showing that you are more interested in the person's well-being and perspective than in simply getting them to agree with you. When people feel that your intent is genuinely to help or support them, they are more likely to open up, engage with your message, and consider your point of view. This emotional connection helps break down barriers and creates an atmosphere of trust, making it easier for you to influence their decisions. Whether you're trying to persuade a client, a team member, or a family member, empathy builds the rapport necessary for a positive outcome. Another way empathy enhances persuasive impact is by helping you tailor your message to the emotional needs of the other person. People are more motivated by their emotions than by facts or logic alone, so understanding the emotional drivers behind their actions and decisions allows you to craft your message in a way that resonates deeply with them. For instance, if someone is driven by a desire for security, emphasizing the safety and stability of a particular option will be more persuasive than focusing on other aspects. Similarly, if a person values innovation, highlighting the novelty or creative potential of an idea will likely resonate more than discussing its practicality. By aligning your message with their emotional needs and aspirations, you increase your ability to persuade them to take the desired action. Building trust is an integral part of persuasion, and empathy is a key driver of trust. When people perceive you as empathetic, they are more likely to trust you because they feel understood and respected. Trust is essential in any persuasive interaction, as it enables open communication, reduces resistance, and fosters collaboration. When you take the time to listen, validate emotions, and show that you genuinely care about the other person's feelings and perspective, you build a foundation of trust that makes it easier for the person to accept your influence and consider your ideas. In addition to enhancing trust, empathy encourages collaboration rather than manipulation. When you approach persuasion with an empathetic mindset, your goal is not to coerce or pressure the other person into agreeing with you, but to find common ground and mutual understanding. This shift in mindset fosters a more cooperative and respectful dialogue, where both parties feel heard and valued. Rather than pushing your agenda, you work together to find solutions that meet both your needs and theirs. This collaborative approach makes it more likely that the other person will take action, as they feel that their interests have been taken into account. Moreover, empathy helps reduce defensiveness. When people feel that they are being understood, they are less likely to become defensive or resistant. This is particularly important in situations where you may need to challenge someone's beliefs or propose a change. People are more open to new ideas when they believe that the person presenting them is empathetic to their situation and genuinely concerned about their needs. By creating a space where the other person feels safe to express their thoughts and emotions without fear of judgment, you reduce the likelihood of conflict and increase the chances of reaching a positive resolution. Empathy enhances your ability to offer solutions that genuinely meet others' needs. Rather than focusing solely on persuading someone to adopt your point of view, empathy allows you to understand their needs and motivations fully. This insight enables you to offer solutions or suggestions that are more likely to resonate and lead to positive outcomes. Whether you are proposing a business solution, giving feedback, or simply making a suggestion, empathy helps you frame your ideas in a way that aligns with the other person's values, goals, and challenges. By offering solutions that are truly beneficial to the other person, you increase your persuasive power and build a stronger relationship. Building empathy to strengthen your persuasive impact requires active listening, validating emotions, understanding perspectives, and establishing emotional connections. By using empathy in your interactions, you can foster trust, collaboration, and open communication, making it easier to influence others in a positive and meaningful way. Empathy enables you to craft messages that resonate emotionally, reduce resistance, and offer solutions that align with the needs and desires of others. As a result, empathetic persuasion becomes not just about influencing others, but about fostering relationships built on respect, understanding, and mutual benefit. What's the most effective persuasion technique that works for you? Comment below and share your experience, whether it's at work, in negotiations, or in your personal life. We'd love to hear how you've used these strategies. If this audiobook has helped you unlock new insights, hit the like button, share it with others who could benefit, and subscribe for more powerful tips on mastering persuasion and influencing others. Don't forget to click the bell icon so you never miss out on future videos. Let's build a community of successful, persuasive individuals together.